At 78 years old, Sir Elton John stands as one of the greatest musicians the world has ever known. A true living legend whose career has spanned more than 5 decades and gifted audiences with timeless classics like Rocket Man, Your Song, and Candle in the Wind, songs that not only defined eras but also cemented his place as an icon of music and culture. Yet behind the sequined outfits, dazzling concerts, and thunderous applause lies a story filled not just with triumphs but also with heartbreak, tragedy, and deeply human struggles that shaped the man behind the music. Born Reginald Dwight in 1947 in Pinner, England, Elton grew up in a household where love and affection were often withheld. And it was in music that he found an escape, a safe place where he could pour his emotions into piano keys. And by his early 20s he had reinvented himself as Elton John, the flamboyant showman destined to take the world by storm. But as fame arrived quickly, so too did loneliness, crushing pressure, and the kind of personal demons that glitter and success could not mask. For behind the flashing lights he began to battle addiction to drugs and alcohol. Addictions that nearly cost him not only his career but also his life. And though the world adored the performer on stage, Elton later admitted in interviews that in his darkest years he was haunted by despair, depression, and self-doubt, often numbing himself to escape the unbearable weight of fame, confessing that there were times when he was dangerously close to giving up altogether. Yet, Elton's tragedies were not limited to addiction alone, for he endured years of heartbreak in his relationships, often feeling unloved, misunderstood, and left carrying the emotional scars of a childhood that denied him the tenderness every child deserves. And though he soared musically, personally he lived in fragility, trying to balance vulnerability with the image of a global superstar. But through resilience, determination, and eventually the decision to seek help, Elton confronted his demons and by the early 1990s embraced sobriety, a turning point that saved him from destruction and allowed him to rebuild not only his career but his life. And in time he found stability and love with his husband David Furnish, with whom he built a family, raising their children and finally discovering the sense of belonging he had craved for so long. Even so, tragedy has continued to shadow his later years, as health battles forced him into the painful reality of infections, surgeries, and physical limitations that not only threatened his life but also ended his ability to continue touring, something he admitted with sadness, knowing how much his performances meant to him and to millions of fans across the world. And though stepping back has been heartbreaking to witness, Elton has approached this chapter of his life with grace, focusing on his family, his music, and the causes he supports, choosing to embrace gratitude while acknowledging his mortality. And so, at 78, Elton John's life is revealed not merely as one of glittering fame and fortune, but as a story of survival, resilience, and human vulnerability, a reminder that even those who seem larger than life endure pain and heartbreak. Yet through it all he continues to inspire the world, not only with his timeless music but with the courage, honesty, and strength that have allowed him to rise from tragedy and remain one of the most beloved figures of our time.